Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare PodCast. This show is sponsored by Kits Keep In Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals. REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. And REA, the Ontario Real Estate Association, Canada's largest provincial real estate association. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the details of our upcoming MindShare Mastermind happening in Toronto, September 16th through the 18th. We've got a speaker lineup which is absolutely loaded. We're going beyond the industry norm. We're bringing you speakers who are going to blow your mind literally. These people are the best of the best in their field. And every single one of them have been carefully handpicked by me to ensure they're relevant to you and will help you be even more successful. From marketing to production to mindset to wealth, I cannot wait for this event later this year. Now, you've been hearing me talk about it. You might have already reserved your spot for it, or maybe you've been considering it. Well, you need to know, spots are limited, so do not wait. Book your ticket and tell your closest colleague to book theirs too. Our 2024 MindShare Mastermind is going to be epic. Check out the website for details, mindshare101.com. And hey, while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so that you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 288. Well, what's going on, my loyal listeners, and anybody who is a brand new listener? I want to say thank you for joining us here today on the MindShare Podcast. To all of you, thank you for joining us on the MindShare Podcast. We always have a lot of fun, and well, today's episode is going to be very much just you and I. This is one of our monthly solo episodes that we do, where we just, look, quite frankly, it's me and a microphone. I'm going to share some thoughts here. Today is all about navigating Canadian real estate. We're talking trends, we're talking challenges, we're talking marketing mastery, and like I said, it's just you and I. So I hope that look, I know a lot of you you listen into this while you're driving, and I want to encourage you to take notes. But the one thing I cannot do is encourage distracted driving. So I'm certainly not going to do that. But I am going to say to you that you know how to access this episode anytime you want. Tune in, buckle up, listen up. Let's get into it, right? Like, we want to talk today again, like I said, market trends. What's going on out there? I want to dive into challenges, and what does that mean, right? So, things are trending. What can we do to leverage those? And, the challenges, how can we maybe get around them? Let's talk about them a little bit more. And, of course, marketing strategies, because I love to build mindshare. And I want to make sure that we're always helping you build more mindshare to get that market share. One thing we know right now is the market is, it's softer than it was. But is it bad? Again, I continue to say it. I don't think it's bad whatsoever. The fact that things aren't selling in 30, 60, 90 seconds, no big deal. They're taking 30, 60, 90 days. Have patience. We talked about that last time together. Always have patience. Things will come. And when you do the right things happen. In fact, I just put out a video recently. It was discussing the price of a house that somebody had lost $400,000 on the price of their home. And before your jaw hits the floor, and I know that if you're in the industry, you fully understand what I mean by that. But these are people that bought in the height of a market. They bought for money that they shouldn't have spent. They bought for a price they shouldn't have paid. I know, but everybody was doing it, and that was what the real estate was valued at. Oh, okay, so let me just follow like sheep. They're like, this is the whole thing, like when mom said, or dad said, or parents said, if your friends jump off a bridge, would you do it too? And you sit there going, well, of course not, mom and dad. Look at everybody jumping off these bridges. Now, all that said, although the article talks about, and yes, the numbers say that the person lost $400,000 on their home, the reason I brought this up is to further back it up to say that when you make poor decisions, you get poor results. Now, if we take that away from the market and think about what we do and how we operate, are you pushing yourself? Are you actually tracking what you want? Are you actually putting in the effort to go and achieve it? Do you have the discipline on a daily basis to do what needs to be done to achieve the results you want to achieve? And if you're sitting there nodding yes, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing it, it's just not working. Hey, my advice to you, do not be one of those people that give up. Do not quit. Do not run away. Keep doing what you're doing, because right now, I'm going to tell you, most people are quitting. Most people are running away. Most people are not going to put the discipline into it all. And that gives you a ton of opportunity. Now, speaking of opportunity too, I truly, truly believe that over these next 6 to even 24 months, and that might be a long period of time you might think, but we all know how fast a couple of years can fly. I do believe there's going to be a lot more opportunity, a lot more people who need to sell their home. Hence why we're seeing people who are losing $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on the price of a house. Why? Because they need to sell. They can no longer afford. They didn't do the math with the interest rates and what would happen if it went up by a point. I mean, they were historically low a few years ago, and quite frankly, to those who survived through the 90s, they are incredibly low right now as well. Very affordable. Now, that doesn't mean the rest of the economy is affordable. That doesn't mean our regular expenses from gasoline to groceries are affordable. And I know. You've been hearing me talk about that month after month every time we do one of these shows. Well, what do you want me to tell you? I'm frustrated. God. Anyways, all right, listen. By the way, as we do these, I've always got a good, nice, hot coffee in hand, so bear with me as we take sips. Hopefully you got one and two. Anyways, let's do this, okay? Current market trends. What right now is going on? And I just kind of started to talk onto it. But high demand, low inventory, a lot of people who want to make a move, not as many people putting their houses on the market. I mean, it is happening. People are putting it on. But we do know that right now, especially in our major cities, and I'm going to go probably more direct to the freehold market than I am going to go to the condo market right now, because the condo market we know is almost becoming a ghost town. But look, some of the points here, right, as we think about high demand, low inventory, prices are still high. People are still trying to come out the door, and I'm seeing this from coast to coast right now. Although the East Coast seems to be doing fairly well, and we talk about East Coast, I'm not talking Toronto. Toronto's not East Coast. I'm talking my friends out in the Maritimes, the Halifaxes, the New Brunswicks. The East Coast are Maritimers. Not bad, but urban centers, very different. Okay, so again, we've got people coming to market with their houses, but we know that they're coming to the market, and they've got unrealistic expectations around what the price of their home should be. This right here is a matter of working through that with them, coming up with a strategy that's going to help them price that home accordingly. And it's not just about helping them, but it's like if you're a realtor, it's about helping you too. Last thing we want to do is put a house on the market that everybody looks around at you and goes, man, what do you want? Why would you price it at that? And we know that it looks bad on us. We also know that people aren't going to be coming through the door as much. So again, having a proper pricing strategy, and a lot of this comes through, one, being incredibly prepared when you go into that new potential listing, to figure out, again, to essentially lock in the listing, but go into there prepared. What do you think the house should be worth based on all the research you've done? Then when you get in there and you get a better sense of what it should be worth, before you even mention the price, you've got to ask the potential seller, this client of yours, this potential client of yours, I guess, what do you think your house is worth? And when they tell you what they think it is, and this comes down to a strategy of active listening. You want to be listening to their answer. As you listen to their answer, you then want to come back and you want to dig deeper. Okay? And this is by asking open-ended questions. Why do you feel it's worth that? Where did you come up with that number? Tell me more about that. And as you exhaust that and you really get down to the crux of why they've decided to list for that price, then you get into your comps and you start to show them the comps and you start to help them understand what the comparables are telling us about the prices. Finally, after going through this exhaustive conversation, I don't mean exhaustive in a bad way, in a negative. I mean you've really asked a lot of open-end questions. You've dug deeper to find out why they feel it's that. You've shown them some support mechanisms and material CMAs to say, where do you think it is now? And ultimately what you're trying to do is get them to come up with a price first and then see if it's even close to where you're at. And from there, you can start to really wiggle and make things happen and kind of get it down to that number that you both feel is the right place to be. So pricing strategies are absolutely imperative right now. Again, in looking at the way the market is going. We also know from a buying side, buyers are still waiting. We saw a lot of pent-up optimism prior to the obviously this interest rate hike. We saw people waiting, wondering, is it going to come down? And I think a lot of the people that were thinking about whether or not it was going to come down weren't really maybe looking at, was it going to come down a point, a quarter point, a half a point, 3 points? Like, what was going to come down? I think realities were, when you really dig into it, a quarter point was probably the max we were going to see. And so that begs the question of, well, what kind of impact has that had over the past recent days since the announcement was made? We really haven't seen much of an impact. We haven't seen buyers jumping off or jumping right in now. Oh my God, it dropped a quarter point, I'm in. People are still waiting. And we are going to see that happen probably through July, potentially even through September, which could have some people getting really, really nervous. And I'm talking, again, those of us in the real estate market or in the real estate industry, wondering what's going to happen to the number of deals we do this year and the income levels we hit this year. And realistically speaking, listen, like I said off the top, continue to do the things you got to be doing, continue to push through, continue to trust the process. Good things will happen. And even if they don't happen as quickly as you want them to, recognize that when people are ready, as long as you're doing what you got to do now, when people are ready, they're going to call. This is the same message I was delivering back during the pandemic, right? Everybody's, but nobody's buying, nobody's selling. I mean, a lot of people were buying and selling, but I don't want to call them. I don't want to talk real estate. It's such a poor time, poor taste to be having that conversation. It's just, no. Call people and talk to them. Make conversation with them. The more you do that, the more when they are ready, they're going to think about you first. So again, we're seeing buyers still waiting around. We're seeing buyers still struggling to get that finance that they need to get, and still waiting to see how our price is going to come down. And herein lies the catch-22, right? What is going to happen when the next rate announcement happens in July? If they do bring it down a quarter point, we're now down a half a point from where we started on this journey this year. Does that fuel the market? Well, TBD, right? And again, as I said too, two different markets here. We've got our sort of urban center market. We've got, moreover, I'd say when I say two different, like your sort of freehold market, you've got your condo market. And I am hearing it, again, from both ends right now, that the condo market is very much a ghost town. I mean, look, shoe boxes, with a kitchen, with a bathroom. If you're lucky, you've got a washer, dryer. There's no room to put your hockey equipment or extra stuff. They're very small. And they cost a lot of money. And we also saw was a lot of builders and developers who've actually taken a lot of people's money and then just decided not to build the project. So it's a tricky place to be operating right now. And when you think about what you're getting for the value that it's at, this is really moreover why right now the condo market is fairly quiet. As I keep saying, though, action step to that is, if you do focus on the condo markets, continue to talk to your people. Continue to have the conversations. People need to make a move at some point. And most of that, especially around right now with the interest rates and the prices, could very much be because people just didn't run the numbers and at some point are not going to be able to afford. Now, what else is trending out here? Well, I've been touching on interest rates this entire time, and naturally, that's another trending topic of conversation. The hikes naturally slowed activity, and now we're seeing obviously cuts happening this year in 2024. Everybody's been waiting, and that's really what it comes down to. Everybody's been waiting. The people who are supposed to be spending the money are actually having patience right now, and I gotta say, as quiet as that might leave the market and the action out there for you, it's not a bad thing. The fact that people are actually being smart about the way they're spending, being smart about the way they're getting into deals. 25 basis points is a drop, but it's nothing earth-shattering. We know, again, like I said, there's already more coming. But we're nowhere close to double digits. So the market, again, not in a bad place. And one thing I would recommend as we're talking about interest rates and we're talking about the impact of it, a topic of conversation, here's an action step for you, but a topic of conversation that you could be having with your clients, and I'm talking to anybody in your contact list right now. In fact, anybody that approaches you on the topic of conversation around real estate, if they're like, hey, what do you think's going on with the rates? Hey, what do you think about this opportunity to buy right now? Is this the right time to do it? One of the things you want to do again is say, well, why are you wondering? Are you actually making a move? Are you actually planning to go somewhere? And they may say yes, they may say no. They may say, I don't know, we've been thinking about it. No, we're not really thinking, I was just curious what your thoughts were. All good. Have the conversation. Ask the questions. Dig deeper. What was the motive behind that question? Why did they ask you? And if you can unearth the fact that they're actually thinking about doing something, then go in for the timelines. Start to figure out, well, when were you thinking about doing something? We're going to wait till, at least the end of the year. We're really in no rush. We want to see what happens with these rates. Awesome. I can definitely help you towards the end of the year. Where do you think you want to go? What are you looking for? And the more we dig, the more we can start to get people set up on searches so that, again, we're starting to plant the seeds now. We're watering that garden the entire way through. And when they are ready, we've just put ourselves in a better situation to be able to earn that opportunity. So the perfect conversation right now is to dig in with your clients, to truly unearth what questions they may have, what concerns they may have, what curiosity they may have about how these rate adjustments are or are not impacting their monthly payments. And therein lies the key, by the way. For anybody trying to argue through a deal on $15K, $20K, $50K, and you're sitting there with your sellers or with your buyers and it's just not coming together, especially with buyers, what I want to really emphasize is that you start talking about the monthly cost versus the entirety of the price. Start to break it down to what monthly expenses look like, because it's the monthly nut where people are really getting, that's where people have the tough time. Can I afford to pay that much money in a month? Not just to a mortgage, but to anything in life. So again, get down to the nitty gritty and start to look at what the monthly costs look like as opposed to just the big picture. Now, another trend that we have going on right now, naturally, when life gets more expensive and people need to make more money, they begin to look for what other opportunities are there to make money. I'm only making so much at my job. Whether you are an entrepreneur, self-employed, you're working for somebody, at some point you almost feel like you've maxed it out. So a lot of people are looking for different investment opportunities. People are looking at multifamily. People are looking at short-term rentals. We're looking at long-term rentals. And right now, speccing houses is difficult because nobody knows where the prices are going, obviously, right? So it's getting into a brand new construction with a builder, putting down a chunk of money, needing to wait 3 or 4 years, but locking in now. That uncertainty of what's happening, which if we want to be very real about this, who's ever totally certain about what's going to happen in real estate or what's going to happen in any market for that matter? You can never really know. This is where speculation comes in. However, again, because of stress tests and the difficulties of getting the financing and the fact that, overall monthly payments have gone up on just everything in life, it is getting more difficult to get into this line of investing right now. Now, not to say there's not people that are doing it or aren't doing it, of course. Much the same like multifamily. Getting into buying apartment buildings, getting into buying multifamily residential units. Look, if you got the dollars to do it, there's a lot of great opportunities out there right now. Multifamily does need bigger buy-in money. So if you do have a certain, stockpile of cash sitting around, you got a 50, 100, 200K, there are opportunities out there to get into larger developments where maybe you don't even need to really be part of it, but you can put that money into it. Now, again, of course, you gotta look over all the numbers. You got to do all your research. You got to figure out if it's really a sound investment for you and if you can afford to kind of work through that and what kind of returns you're going to get over the number of years. But there are options out there for it. Now, much the same when we think about, something like the long-term rentals, The Landlord-Tenant Act favors the tenant in every single way. So they are, like to me from the stories I'm hearing, it's a nightmare. I just heard a story the other day of a buyer who purchased a property, knew that there was a tenant, did follow through purchase the property, tried to evict the tenant, and has now been told, too bad, so sad, tenant gets to stay. Can you imagine buying a property and not having any control over who's in there or when they got to get out? So again, the Landlord-Tenant Act right now, which is really, really favoring the tenants. And I don't know if we see any change in sight for that. I mean, that's a societal issue if you want to ask me, right? We got way too soft with people. But I digress. I will leave that for another time. We're not here to rant today. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of that. There always is. But, like that, look, it wouldn't be the MindShare podcast if we didn't. We got to say what we want to say, right? Like, you got to be real. Anyways, like, I don't like to sugarcoat. I mean, maybe sometimes I do. Anyways, Landlord-Tenant Act, whatever, that's a problem. But now take that over to the short-term rentals. Now, that might be the way to go, but a lot of municipalities are putting a stop to it. So you got to be very careful before you go and purchase. If your plan is to do the Airbnb thing or the short-term thing, people going up and buying a cottage and renting that out, week by week by week. Again, there's great opportunity there. Just make sure you do your back checking and, of course, talking to your clients about back checking. This way, again, nobody's sort of getting into something that they can't do anything with. So as we talk about trends, right? High demand and low inventory, interest rate impact, emerging investment opportunities. There's always stuff going on in the real estate industry, right? But with anything that's happening, of course, it's going to present its own challenges too. And as we look at some of those challenges, that, like I told you, if I just stop in the middle of talking, I'm having a coffee. It's really good coffee too. Totally unpaid for promotion here, but I'm such a supporter. I've got my Ember mug going. Now, if you've heard me talk about the Ember mug, I'm talking about it again because I really like it. I'm going to say it again. Ember, E-M-B-E-R. If you are a coffee drinker, they have mugs, they have thermoses. The beautiful part about this thing is it keeps your coffee hot. Like it literally, it's powered up. There's an app to it. It'll keep your coffee hot for a good 2 hours. Okay, now if you got a good thermos, your coffee will stay hot for 2 hours. But I'm talking like a cup of coffee with no lid will stay hot for 2 hours at the perfect temperature. Can you imagine? It's all very possible. Anyways, check it out, Ember. Like I said, unpaid for promotion, but I just love this mug. Now, let's get back to realtors. What are the challenges? Everybody, what are the challenges we're facing right now when it comes to the market and the trends? Well, again, come back to low inventory, high competition, right? Getting out there right now, it is unbelievable how many agents are in this business. And one thing that I'm noticing is we're not seeing the consistency from one particular dominant person any longer when you drive through a neighborhood. You also think to the fact that, plain and simple, there's just not as much going on right now out there. There's not as many people coming to market with a property. People do want to make moves, and people, in some cases, people need to make those moves because, again, affordability is just completely eroding. So, finding who those people are, well, how? Well, again, we come right back to that, and we say you got group number one, you got group number two. You got the people that you know, like, and trust, and then you got the people that, well, you don't know. Group number one being the know, like, trust is the contact list. You know exactly where they are. You know exactly how to get a hold of them. Group number two, well, again, we don't know them, but we could totally know where they are. In fact, if you pick a geographic area and you go and farm that area and you do it consistently, no matter what kind of results you're getting off the top, no matter what, you'll find opportunity. You will land on that person as long as you got patience and you're disciplined to the process. You will land on that person who at some point says, yes, I want to sell, or yes, I need to sell. So if you're feeling that you're battling against way too many people out there, there's way too much competition, I'm going to come right back and ask you, what are your goals? What are you focused on in a day? What kind of actions are you taking on a daily basis to achieve what it is that you ultimately want to achieve? Or are you just sitting there going, there's too many people out there, and I don't want to do the work, and I'm just going to pay for it because, I'm complacent, because I believe that money is the solution to complacency. And although you may not actually admit that to yourself, ask yourself in the mirror right now if that's what you're doing. And if it is, get that shit changed fast. Nothing is easy in life. Everything takes time, it takes effort. Those who survive, those who put in the effort, are those who get the results. And like I just said a moment ago, something that I've noticed when I'm driving around, especially in my neighborhoods and in many neighborhoods, it's rare any longer to see the consistency of one particular real estate agent. Like it used to be that you could spot the key players, not only by their advertising, but even moreover, by all the lawn signs, the signs that they got in people's lawns, the for sale signs, the sold signs. Like you drive by each street and, one of their signs is there. There's no longer really a key player in most areas anymore. There's just too many agents. And that's even more reason why you need to focus on being in touch with your database on a consistent basis. Because again, like I say, there are more people out there that are coming to take your business. And if you're not talking to your database, somebody else is. If you're not picking a farm area that you're going to farm, you're going to work, somebody else is. And then the only person you can ask why things aren't working is you in the mirror. And you go, well, why am I not working? Why am I not doing the things that I need to be doing if I want it so badly? So as we look at, again, the challenges, and we look at the fact that there's low inventory, the fact that there's so much competition out there, if you're looking for the hack, if you're looking for the solution of like, what do I do? Plain and simple, get to work. Be consistent. Put in the effort even when you don't feel like it. Track those efforts. Figure out if you're doing enough. Figure out what's working. Figure out what's not. And when you figure out what's working, double down. See, my coaching clients know exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly how we roll. Right? We're tracking everything. This way we know what's working. We know what's not working. Makes life so much easier. Even more predictable. Now, another challenge here, I keep coming back to this thing of interest rates. But as we look at, what can we do to deal with this? Well, again, I come back to the first thing, like anything when we're dealing with something, is mindset. Mindset, your mindset, the mindset that you instill in your clients, the mindset you instill in the people that you talk to, whether the clients or not. The rates are not high. They're just higher than they were when they were rock bottom. But we're nowhere close to double digits. Nowhere close. Luckily. In fact, we're coming down. We're not going up. And like I said, anybody who's caught in a pinch, they made a poor buying decision at some point while trying to keep up with the Joneses. The good news here for everybody is that it's going to provide a ton of opportunity. And I want to continue to really hammer that home because, well, like I said a moment ago, as mindsets might be lower, as the drive might be lower, one, because of the fact that the market is not kicking ass, and so you're not making as much money, so you're feeling a little bit down. Two, because the summer is in basically full effect now. We got great weather out there for the most part. People are distracted. Spring market didn't pop off the way we thought it would pop off, the way we hoped it would pop off. But again, for all those people that thought about making a move, for all those sellers that want to, sell, for all the buyers that want to get into something, for anybody that needs to do it, and I'm talking needs because of, a move or a growing family or they want to get into something small or downsizing. I mean, or they made shitty decisions a couple of years ago. They did not run their numbers. Those are going to come up more and more frequently now. Now, it's going to impact the market. It's going to skew what the price points look like. But I say this is a period of adjustment right now. The numbers got skewed a couple of years ago when they shot off like popcorn, just boom, boom, boom. Everything's just going up by $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 overnight because people were just, I don't have a nice word for it. I just don't. And then, look, Nah, I'm not going to talk about the place and blame game here because, look, the place and blame game is on the people that went to get the house. We'll go into that another time. But we talk challenges. Again, do what you got to be doing, no matter what the rates are doing. Have the conversations like we keep saying, okay? Here, another challenge. And I guess we're kind of touching on this as we're moving through today, but client expectations and their education around what's actually taking place out there. Well, our job, like solution, and I mean, it's not going to solve everything. Communicate with people. Educate them. Discuss the importance of their expectations from the market, from what's going on right now. We've got to teach people what's happening. They've got to fully understand. And if we allow the mainstream media, and yes, you hear me say this one often, if we allow the mainstream media to continue to be the channel of information that our clients are receiving, yeah, of course, it's going to make a negative impact on our industry and on the market as a whole. I mean, nothing from the mainstream media that ever comes through is positive any longer. It's just not. That's why I don't pay attention to it. This is where, again, we need to pick up the phone. We need to connect with people, send the newsletters, and educate our clients around what's going on. Because the more we can empower our clients, the more we can empower other people with knowledge, the better the decisions are that they can make. So again, we've got to communicate to educate with your active clients and with your contact list. This is not isolated to just one or the other. You got to do it with both. More conversations, create more opportunities. So again, asking the questions, right? Your action steps. Make the calls, send the newsletters, have the conversations, ask the questions. Listen for the answers. How about a phone call that says, call up, say, hey, whatever. Look, you saw that the rates went down the other day? I did. What questions do you have about the recent announcement? Do you have any curiosity or questions about how that's going to affect your home? See, just by opening up with a little bit of a conversation about it, just by probing a little bit further, people might actually bring something up. They might even just give you an opinion. It doesn't matter. It's 25 basis points. It didn't move anything. We got no problems here. It's no problem. Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's good that you're actually not overly concerned because it's not really a big deal right now. Right? You see, again, what we're doing here is we're creating a relationship. And the more open that they are to sharing with you, you're going to create trust. And when you create the trust, you're going to build opportunity. So again, conversation leads to more rapport, which leads to more relationship. Relationship leads to potential of trust. Trust is where opportunity comes from. So again, connect those dots. As you connect those dots, again, what's the end game? The end game is you get more deals. Another challenge here, and I mean, this one's a rabbit hole for sure, but regulatory and regulatory and policy changes. We know there's so much going on right now from our provincial levels, our federal levels. I think the feds they're smoking stuff, they're drinking stuff, they got no idea where the hell they are. They have no idea who Canadians are. They keep talking about Canadians. They know what Canadian. I don't even know what planet these people are on. Hell, I don't even know if these people are people. Maybe we've already been invaded by aliens. In fact, that would make a lot of sense. Like, you start to look at them and you listen to them and you think about the things they're doing, the decisions they're making. Maybe that's what's going on. But think about it, okay? The feds came out and said they wanted to build 3.1 million homes by 2031. Now, I was watching a video the other day, and there was this one lady. She was grilling one of the folks that was part of the federal government, and she was basically saying, "So you're telling me that from right now today, you guys want to build 3.1 million homes by 2031, the next 7 years?" And she ran the math. She goes, "Sir, that would mean that you need to be building 1.069 homes per minute." And then she looks at her watch. She goes, "So are you telling me that you've built 32 homes in the past half an hour as we've been here?" And I started laughing. I thought, this is brilliant. I love this. because it's really showing the realities around, the posturing and the empty promises and the fact that they're not living up to the things that they said they would do. But they are certainly raising our taxes. They are certainly taking more from us. They are certainly giving more to others than they are giving back to Canada. It's a problem. Now, see, this is where I'm getting into a rant, because the minute I bring up the federal government, my mind starts going everywhere. But sticking to, like, housing, real estate, the talk is there about increasing inventory. The talk is also there about the fact that we cannot just drop the prices of houses because it's going to crash a market, and it would lead to a lot of people having to get out of their houses. So that doesn't work. You could just argue and be like, well, what if we raised interest rates? Would that like really curb things? Well, that's going to cause another problem. So we really are in a catch-22 right now. One thing's for sure, though, we know that the government is not going to hit their goal of 3.1 million homes. It's just not physically possible. And they say that we've got a lack of, the labor force, lack of a workforce, but it's complete bullshit. You read the numbers, and again, I can't quote it right now. I haven't got them in front of me, but I remember I even talked about this, and scroll back on the Instagrams and the TikToks, you'll find one of the videos that I put out there about the fact that like 400,000 new labor workers into the construction labor force, workforce per year, which should equate to like 350,000 homes or something, but it was only like they only did 175,000 homes. And again, please do not take my numbers and put those to anything. I'm ramming off numbers based on what I recall. The gist of the conversation being, and if I take the numbers out of it, the point is they say they haven't got enough people to build enough houses. It seems like the numbers told us they've got enough people. They're just not allowing us to build enough houses. It just comes back to the red tape. Comes back to the NIMBYism, right? Not in my backyard. Nobody wants the developments in their place. We know that infrastructure is a total disaster, and I know that the cities like New York, L.A., that San Francisco, that are brutal when you get on the roads. But Toronto's right there. I mean, I went downtown the other day to go for a meeting, and it took me an hour and 25 minutes, which should be, if I did that drive at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, why would you do the drive at 3 o'clock in the morning? I get it, but I'm just saying. It should be like a 38-minute drive. It's like over an hour and 20 minutes. And then to come back, to get back north, it was over an hour and 45 minutes. Like, sidebar, I can't understand anybody who drives downtown and back, if you're living sort of north of the core, every single day. Anyways, I got to that point just basically saying, like, again, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to the challenges around building more, there's a lot of them out there. And I will go out to say that I think that anybody who's challenged with solving that problem has a major challenge in front of them. We've gone down a bad road on that, from a price point, from a volume, from affordability, from the fact that we're bringing all these people into this country and we have nowhere to put them. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. They could definitely vote. I mean, we got to let them vote. Of course we got to let them vote. Hell, they got more rights than some of us do. There I go again, chasing squirrels. Okay, back in line. Bottom line, I mean, there is zero hope with this federal government. They're playing out a bunch of liars. And the result is going to be that the housing market, which isn't really sure which way it's going, is going to continue to kind of be a little bit lost right now. And, well, again, it could spell disaster for many. I continue, however, to say it's going to create opportunity as you're in this market. So again, we look at those challenges and we say, some of the things you're facing right now, that low inventory, high competition, the interest rates, client expectations, the education that's required to talk to them. And a lot of these regulatory and policy changes, these are things that, again, we need to just keep in mind. We want to stay focused on and have solutions for ourselves when it comes to how we're running our business. That's me topping up my coffee cup here. We want to just keep thinking those through. And again, these are some of the things that we're faced with. And when you're having conversations with clients, keep these things in mind. And again, use them as topics of conversation. There's good stuff here to figure out. Now, the other thing I mentioned, we talked about trends. Talked about challenges. Let's talk to some effective marketing strategies right now, right? What is going on out there that people are doing to actually, again, grow their business? What's working for some, what's not working for others? We know one of the big things we always have to be focused on in today's world is our online presence. And it is important to have a strong online presence. And this includes having obviously a professional website and being active on your social media. Again, we've got to fully understand that, because in today's world, having an online presence is it's imperative. You can't say, I don't like social, or, yeah, I don't really have a website. People just call me. I mean, that's just way too old school in today's world. Remember that everybody's connected through a smartphone. Everybody's window shopping is going to be about going to your website and going to your social. So again, when we say online presence, and I say that in like air quotes, like online presence, it means being consistent, okay? Consistent with your social media. If you've got a blog on your website, being consistent with that blog. Being consistent with engaging with people. So if you've got a YouTube channel, again, you've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever social platforms you're on, LinkedIn, Snapchat if you're there. Making sure that you're speaking with people, engaging with others. And Tim Syrianos was on the show just the other week, good friend of mine from Remax Ultimate, Remax Condos, said it's not about being interesting, it's about being interested. I love what he said there. Because what he was emphasizing, what he was really pushing there was, hey, don't just make it about you, but really get involved in the conversation about them. So when we think about, again, an online presence, it's not just how much you can post, which, again, step one here, as you post, be it blog, be it podcast, be it video, be it social, be consistent. The second part to this is be consistent with engaging with other people's content. Be interested in what they're posting. Be interested in creating conversation with them. The more you do that, the more they will reciprocate, the more conversation you're having, the stronger the relationship gets. And well, as I said earlier, the more the relationship, the better the trust, the closer the opportunity. So again, online presence, be consistent. Be consistent with your efforts. Now, it does take time. You got to think of what you want to post. You got to come up with a content calendar for when you want to post. You got to actually create the content itself. I'll tell you, this all comes back to scheduling. Okay, you've got to create a work back schedule. So if you said to yourself, well, I know that I want to post a video on, Wednesday next week. Well, this is about not coming up with it Wednesday that day and be like, I'm going to put a video up today. And then, I'm going to put all this effort into it. And when I post it, everybody's going to click like, and I'm going to get some deals. And then a few hours later, after you post it, you didn't get as many likes and you didn't get the deal, and you think, oh, this stuff doesn't work. No. This is about doing it all the time. This is about consistency. So as to say work back schedule, what I mean is if you want to post that video next week, Wednesday, know that today, 1 week ahead of time. Put it in the schedule for next week already and say, posting video that day or video, whatever. Give it a title. The video about ABC. Well, create that video today. Have it ready to go today. Like you recorded it today, you got a couple days to edit it, and now by next Wednesday, it's ready to go. Same thing with a blog. The blog gets posted on the 15th of every month. Great. Write it in the first week of the month. Write it in the first 10 days of the month. Have it ready to post by the 15th, not the 16th. Not I forgot this week or this month. Have it ready. Work back schedule. Here, another thing I'll add into online presence is about email. You got to use it. And I'm going to suggest to you right now, you should have 2 emails going out a month to your database. 2. Yes, 2. Every other week there's an email. Oh, but that's a lot. Yeah? Think about how many emails you get from one sender in one day. Day after day after day. Think about the people that spam you. Think about all the ones that you get that are like, they just seem like they come in all the time. Your 2 emails a month certainly are not going to have that impact on people. And again, though, create the work back schedule. When do the emails get sent? When do they get written? And this way, when it's time to send, you just have to hit send. See, to be consistent, we need to schedule accordingly. Then we need to stick to the schedule. And consistency is way better than perfection. In fact, quick story, and you might have seen the video. that we just put out. But had a client of mine that I was talking to about perfection, why she's not sending certain things, and the video or sending out the email, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect. And we had a discussion around, what does perfection mean? And really, again, perfection is the process of working towards being flawless. But it's a very subjective way of looking at it. Because what you might see as flawless, I might find tons of flaws in. So again, what really is perfection? I'll boil it down to, it's procrastination. You're just stopping yourself from doing the things you know you need to be doing. Now, she told me this story, and she had mentioned that, when she looks at perfect, she remembers having this friend of hers that she played baseball with, and she said she was perfect. I said, well, why was she perfect? She goes, because every single time she'd go up to bat, she'd hit a home run. I'm like, she'd hit a home run every time she went up to bat? She's like, well, looking back on it, she probably didn't. She goes, but that's what I remember. I remember always hitting a home run. I'm like, but she probably struck out. She's like, I'm sure she did. I'm like, she probably grounded out. She's like, yeah, she probably did. But I just remember all the home runs. And to me, she was perfect. I said, okay, so we've just identified that right now. What your perception was perfect. Realistically speaking, she's like everybody else. However, she was more consistent about her wins. She was more consistent about the production. And so the perception is you remember her as perfect. So she hit a lot of home runs. My client remembers all the home runs, doesn't necessarily remember everything else. And to her, she became perfect. Well, again, the perception was because of the consistency. You see where I'm going here? So again, when we talk about online presence as one of your big marketing strategies, from your website, blogging, to your social media /video, posting content, engaging with others, to your emails that you send out, be consistent. Plan it out. When are they going? Put it in the schedule, create the work back, and execute. Again, most people won't do this. You do this, you will have an incredible online presence, and you will build a ton of MindShare. Now, another marketing tool here, right, to again, talk about some effective marketing strategies right now. High quality visuals, right? The cameras we have, the access to technology we have, the video cameras, the people that are so really ingrained in photography and videography, these people are professionals. Okay, leverage them, leverage their skills and their talents. I can't understand how is it in the world that people are still posting shitty listing photos or videos on public MLS systems. Like, how are people still doing shitty photos? Why would people do that? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, we've all got access to all this technology and all these people and all these resources. May as well take advantage of them. Our phones have incredible cameras, but when it comes to advertising a property, we need it to stand out amongst all the other properties. And things that'll help you make that property look better, or even make yourself look better, are going to be things like, assets like lighting. Okay, how well lit are you? And anytime you do a photo, you do a video, remember the sun, the light should always be in front of you. Okay, you don't want the sunshine behind you. You don't want a window behind you. It's going to make you look darker. It's going to be harder to see. And again, the quality is going to look lower. Remember, perception's reality. If you can't put together a good photo for yourself or a good video for yourself, what are you going to do for my house? I'm not saying you got to hire a videographer to take every picture, or a photographer to take every picture you ever take of yourself. I'm not saying they have to be perfect. But it's these little things that we can think through, because we do have some fantastic cameras in the palm of our hands. So camera angles, pay attention to those. Lighting, pay attention to those. The editing. You could go and you could get CapCut. There's one that I use, Viva Video. I know some of the phones have built-in stuff on them. You could hire somebody. So it all depends on the application. It depends on what you're trying to put out there. But think through what that final product looks like, from lighting to, again, angles to some of the filters that are being used. Think about when you're scrolling online and maybe even checking out like the MLSs and looking at properties, what stands out to you and what doesn't. So think that through, because again, that's going to attract more people when you've got those high quality visuals. Remember, you market homes and negotiate deals. The first step is you want to make sure that, the homes look good so people come calling. Now, another effective strategy here, okay, when we're talking marketing, and I've just really emphasized this word a moment ago, of consistency. Consistent branding, okay? Think about your brand right now, and I want you to think about all the platforms you use. When was the last time you did your own marketing audit to check for consistency in your brand image? The photo that you're using, is it the same across all your social media profiles? Is it the same one that I'm going to see when I get to your website? Is it the same one that might show up on your email, your newsletter, your business card, any flyers I get from you? When I see you online or offline or both, you really need to be the same person. How you carry yourself, the way you speak, the words you use, who you are, what colors you use. We need to have that consistent look and feel, because the more consistent we are, the more we're going to create that instant recollection. And again, instant recollection builds long-term mindshare. And of course, you know it, mindshare equals market share. So go back, and again, your action step here is go do an audit, look at your online and your offline channels, take time to do that, and ask yourself if it looks consistent. And I'm not talking about doing an entire rebrand where you got to hire a marketing agency to do colors and logos and everything else. But just your brand look, your image, your feel. Is it you? Is it authentically you? And is it consistent across all channels? Go back and check that out. And I will tell you again, this is something we put a very heavy focus and emphasis on when we're working with our coaching clients, to help ensure that that branding, that messaging, that overall look and feel really has that consistency. Again, so we're creating that mind share. Okay, SEO, content marketing. Look, SEO can be a real confusing, daunting thing to get into. A lot of people don't necessarily understand it, but we do want to leverage some of this stuff to attract clients. Now, one thing we need to fully understand, it can get extremely expensive. So you got to be very careful around what your marketing budget looks like. And again, what is that goal? But also know that you can very much optimize without spending. You just need to leverage the keywords, the topics, and you need to do it across your online channels. And then you got to do it consistently. So again, this is back to creating the online presence. Take a particular topic. Take a particular headline. Use the exact same subject line, the exact same words. Then bury those words in that subject line within the content of what you're saying. Again, as we're talking today about navigating real estate trends, challenges, and marketing mastery. See what I did there? I'm going to take my title and I'm going to bury it within. I'm going to take those keywords and I'm going to bury them within. I'm going to make all the content about that. Now I'm not just going to do it, let's say, on this podcast. I'm going to make sure that this podcast gets up to YouTube, and we're going to bury those same keywords in there. So I'm going to have this particular show that you're listening to right now will be available through the major podcast platforms, through audio. It'll then be available through YouTube, through video. Well, today's episode won't have a full feature film about this one because it is a solo episode. But there will be content out there. We will then take that content, we put it into an email blast, a few email blasts, and we will use the same words. We will then upload a transcript of this to the website so the website hosts these words. We will then put it up to social media using the same words. And as we're consistent about the execution, we leverage multiple channels, and we use the same words and the same headlines and the same topics. We're now giving the online Googles of the world and everybody else, YouTubes, same thing, I guess. We're giving them a resource to find answers to those particular topics. And we become a resource because we put a lot of content out there. I hope that made sense, okay? But again, I guess the point that I'm making is effective marketing strategies do include your content marketing, do include SEO, and there are ways to do it without spending a ton of money. We do need to come back, though, and say, again, we've got to be incredibly consistent. Okay? And know that if we are neglecting an online presence across the website, across my social media, it's just plain and simple going to impede our efforts at getting in front of new opportunities. And, hey, if you love money and you want to do more deals, then we got to find a way to get in front of people. And, of course, speaking of people, you know I had to get here. Okay? Follow up with people. And be personalized about it. Okay, some of these things that we've got to think about how important it is to go after group number one on a regular basis. And so, when we think about follow-up, when we think about personalized communication, some ideas here, and trends and things that are working, I'm going to tell you, newsletters still proving to be the absolute best, most successful, most consistent way to stay in touch with your most important audience. They're not old. They're not dead. They're not boring. Maybe sometimes they can be boring, but they're certainly informative, and they're consistent. They keep you connected, and they keep the doors open. They open doors for more conversation. If you haven't got a newsletter, you're missing out, and I will take the opportunity for the shameless plug here. Call my team at Kits. It is the best, most personalized, most effective newsletter there is. We write it, we design it, we send it. You don't got to think about it. No joke. The most consistent way to stay in front of your most important audience, whether you're on a beach, whether you're busy doing deals. I forgot to call them. I didn't get to writing it. Don't worry about it. It's taken care of for you. Okay? Again, the most consistent form of your marketing for your most important audience. I can't stress it enough. Another thing you should be doing, handwritten birthday cards. Don't skip out on this stuff. Just waiting for Facebook to tell you when it's my birthday and just posting HBD on my profile, it don't mean shit. But you go and get a card. You put ink on paper, you send it over, you get like a week worth of shelf life on my desk, on my mantle. Just that warm and fuzzy feeling, How many people are sending cards these days? And for the person who does, who actually cares to write it and send it, come on. Talk about relationship. By the way, relationship builds trust, trust builds opportunity. Remember what we said before. Add in a CMA once a year. Every single year on the home anniversary of my home, send me a CMA. Let me know the value of my house. Whether it's gone up, whether it's gone down, whether I've asked the question or I haven't, send it. At some point, I'm going to want to know the value of my house. And if you're the one that keeps sending it, well, hey, you're probably the one that I'm going to call. A calendar. Why wouldn't you send a calendar once a year? People throw those out. Not if you do a wow calendar. By Kits, of course. And you're like, Dave, you're telling us the newsletters and calendars are the thing to do because that's what you guys do at Kits. No. I'm telling you to do them because they freaking work. Because that's what works. Because standing in front of a car that's not yours in a house that's not yours, with your hand on your chin while you look up at the sky with your nice fake watch on. Okay, fine. That was a little bit rude. But you get what I'm saying. All that posturing. That's not what gets us deals. It's rapport. It's relationship. It's connection with others. Now, the stuff that I'm saying to you with the newsletters and the handwritten cards and the CMAs and the calendars, it might seem old school. But this is the real one-to-one instead of the one-to-many. Try phone calls. Yeah. Get on the phone. Call your people. Say what's up. 2 to 3 times a year. How you doing? What's going on with the family? Do a forward call. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Check in. Do a call about interest rates, as I already talked about. Check in. Again, the more you make it about them, the more you ask them questions about them, the more they're going to feel good when they speak with you. And the better they feel when they speak with you, the more apt they're going to be to speak with you again the next time. And well, if they're open to talking to you, you build more rapport. And if I haven't said it yet, rapport builds trust. And trust, well, that creates opportunity. I know I said it already, but I'm trying to drive home a message. Do you understand? Okay? These are active touch points. This is you being involved in marketing, and involved in connections, involved in the conversation, involved in the relationship. Leverage these active touch points I just told you about and be consistent about them. Now, as we talk about marketing mastery, look, real quickly here, again, some of the mistakes that people are making, they're neglecting the online. Okay? They're neglecting the ability to put out content. It is free. Do not neglect it. Yeah, but I don't like it. Yo, I don't like scrolling social media all that much either these days. I just don't. But I do it as a byproduct of what we do. And I do truly enjoy connecting with the people that I connect with. I don't know. I'm tired of being on the phone all the time. I like real in-person life-to-life stuff, people-to-people stuff, and I'm sure you do too. So how do I make sure we're consistent? I schedule everything, as should you. And no matter how hard it is, or how much you feel it's not working, you stick to it. Because it's not about the likes and the views today. It's not about the deal you got today. It's about what it's going to do for you tomorrow. Okay? Think about the trends that are coming up. That's how you come up with content. What are people's challenges? What do people want to know about? Then just turn it around, learn, teach yourself, and teach others. A pitfall would be inconsistent branding. So again, we talked about, effective strategies is consistency of your brand. Inconsistent branding, poor quality content. Again, it's not going to make you look that good online. When people find that stuff, they're going to look at it and say, I don't know. Is that the way they're going to do it for my house? Is that the way they're going to do it when they're working with me? And I already mentioned it needs to be consistent. The messaging needs to be consistent. Your efforts need to be consistent. And this is no matter what. I don't want to hear excuses. Most people in life carry excuses with everything. No excuses. If you get past the excuses, because most people have excuses, you're going to win. Remember, your online presence, this is your storefront. Make sure it's fresh. Make sure it's appealing. Another pitfall here, okay? Ignoring data and ignoring analytics. You have to be checking into what you're doing on a regular. And again, this is something we do with our coaching clients, not just from a marketing, but a systems and a processes, a goals all around, okay? Think about sports. Just like sports, we track what players are doing. We track averages. We track ERAs. We track on-base percentages. We track shots on net. We track everything. And then we're able to look at the analytics and go, what are they doing? What are their tendencies? Were they really excelling? Were they not doing so well? We measure, and then we adjust. See, because the data gives us insights into what is and what's not working. So have a strategy to measure your efforts so you can see in a shorter window of time than just a year whether or not you're actually achieving and moving forward. And then it gives you that quick reset. And again, we're doing this with our coaching clients. We built a system and process to do this on a daily basis. See, because the more you track, the quicker you can adjust. This is all about performance. And this is, again, something we're doing daily with our clients. We don't want to wait. It's not about not having patience. I don't want to wait for the end of the year. I don't want to wait for the end of the month to figure out what needs to change. The quicker we do it, the more effective it is. The quicker we get the returns we want. And of course, we talked about personalization. Try to be as personal as you can with people. Generic is generic, and there's a downside to generic, and there's obviously an upside to personalization. As I said before, 1-to-1 will always beat 1-to-many. So don't be a sheeple, okay? Get creative. Add value. Put that plan in place. Create that schedule. Make it personal when you're talking to people. And of course, focus your time on the highest producing opportunities, which are, again, always, always, always going to be in your database. So look, I'm watching the time here, and I know that we've gone a little bit longer on the solo episode than we usually do. Okay, but as we look at this today, again, our goal in this episode was to talk about how to navigate real estate, trends, challenges, and of course, marketing. And we covered things, when we talked about current trends around, again, high demand and low inventory, interest rates, investment opportunities. We looked at some of the challenges like low inventory, high competition, and navigating those interest rates. What can we do about that? What are the solutions there? We talked about client expectations and the importance of educating them. And of course, we had to throw in there the regulatory and policy changes because, well, we got to take the opportunity to just knock the federal government because they deserve it. But from there, we got into marketing mastery and sort of, things, well, not sort of, but strategies that are effective for people right now. From online presence to high quality visuals to consistent branding, SEO and content marketing, how to execute on it all and how important it is for follow-up and personalization. And sort of wrapping that up with, why you don't want to neglect your SEO and what, why inconsistent branding and poor quality content is not going to put you in the best light, and how ignoring data and analytics are they're going to stop you from having the insights that you could have to speed up your business and do more, make more, achieve more, faster. And of course, again, why personalization is so much more impactful than being generic with people. Okay? Lots covered today through strategies and insights. Look, go back and listen to this one again if you need to take notes. There's a lot that we covered on today's episode. Stay informed of what's going on with market trends. Stay informed of what's going on in the industry, in the market. Be able to translate that back to your clients, be able to translate it back to yourself. Be ready to adapt where you need to. Be ready to look at your marketing and say, although I just set it up, a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, last quarter, I am going to review that and see if that's the most effective way to go right now. We do this every 4 weeks with our team. We're constantly looking, analyzing, acknowledging what's working, what's not working. And I just want to say to you right now, as we talk about what's working and what's not working, I want to close out on this. It's very easy to allow a market like this, which is a little bit slower, to bring you down. To make you feel like you're not good enough. To make you feel like, oh man, when's the end ever in sight? It's very easy to let the fear set in around paying bills and what's going to happen if. But I want you to focus on delivering incredible service. I want you to focus on the daily actions you need to take in order to achieve, whether you feel that they're working or not. Because the minute you stop those daily actions, the minute that everything else stops. The more consistent you are, however, the more focused you are, the more intent you are, the more discipline you have, the more you push through, recognize most people won't, most people don't. And that will put you in a position to win whenever anything turns around, whenever anybody is ready, they will come. I mean, we heard it. They'll take this right down to baseball. If you build it, they will come. And that's exactly what you got to keep doing. You keep hearing no, don't worry about it. You're getting closer to a yes. You keep feeling like it's not working, trust me, it's working. It's going to come. If you don't do anything, I promise you, nothing will happen. But you keep up those efforts. You trust in the process, and you will achieve. You will get through any type of tough market you're dealing with, any type of frustrations you're dealing with. Like we said off the top, it ain't going to be easy. The strong will survive. And the more you tune into this podcast, the stronger you will get. So I thank you for being here today. I thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you took a whole bunch of notes and a whole bunch of content, a whole bunch of takeaways, and now it's up to you to put it into action. Let's go. You got this. Get out there and build that MindShare. I'll check you back next week. You're either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the details for our upcoming MindShare Mastermind and download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare and earn more market share. For all inquiries, just get in touch with us today. And of course, don't forget to leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethispodcast.com/MindShare101. Connect with me on Facebook and TikTok at MindShare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. I want to thank Kits Keep in Touch Systems, REM Magazine, and REA, the Ontario Real Estate Association, for sponsoring this episode. This has been another episode of the MindShare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.